It wouldn't be Mario Day without some brand new announcements. We'll talk upcoming games, returning classics, and a brand new movie in production with Illumination.
We also had a new Xbox partner preview showing off a ton of information, trailers, release dates on a bunch of new games. We're going to talk about all this stuff and so much more right now on Gaming News Weekly. What's up, everybody? It's time for another new episode of Gaming News Weekly, the best weekly video game news show out there. Every single Monday, we're bringing you all the biggest things happening in the video game industry. Check us out on Fruit Lab, YouTube, podcast services everywhere. My name is E-Rock the Red, joined by this man, Full Clip. What's up, dude?
What's good? You know, constantly running an hour behind all of a sudden with this time change.
What's up with that? Yeah. Who needs it? You know what I'm saying?
That's an hour of gaming we lost out on.
Exactly. We missed out big time. How you been? What's new?
Yeah, doing all right. You know, I actually have a new game that I played this week for the first time in, a month or so.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I want to hear it. What is it?
Yeah, got a review copy for Service IT. You Can Do It.
No. This sounds right up your alley.
It is. It is a simulator game, and it's published by Free Minds and Playway, so we always know that they do pretty good work. 95% there most of the way on launch. It does all kinds of things in like the IT service industry, like wide. It's not really focusing on one thing, like a PC building simulator. It has elements of that, probably not as deep as PC Building Simulator goes, though. But you're also doing, like, admin tasks. You're doing, I guess, eventually server stuff, and you're doing, like, simplified programming. And what most interests me, because I don't have a lot of real-world experience with this, is you're soldering, desoldering, and checking, like, boards, doing board repair.
Does it also have you, like, be, like, rude to all your coworkers? That would be perfect.
You only talk to them on the internet, so yeah, there's not much of an opportunity.
Are you're learning a lot, dude? Is this can you transition into a new job after you play this game?
You know, the basics are here from what I've seen so far. What I do know a little bit about soldering and stuff like that. It doesn't go like as deep as it could. You don't actually like hold the solder down to the piece, right. But you do learn a little bit about like using a multimeter when it comes to that board repair part, and that's where I've always been lost. I don't know what in the world you're really supposed to do with the multimeter or what you need to set it to. It's all been pretty confusing, but this kind of explained it, and I feel like I can approach a similar project in real life a little more confidently now.
Nice. Is it fun though? Or does it feel like work?
So far, it's been fun. I can't say for every game that I get a review copy of that I want to go back to it. This one, I definitely do. I want to put more hours into it.
Do you remember that Farmer's Life game that you played or whatever?
Yeah.
So I didn't. I was like, I have a list of like Steam keys that I like trade or whatever, and someone requested like, "Hey, I want to trade for this Farmer's Life game," and I'm like, this game looks familiar. And then I looked into it, and it was that one that you were playing that I really thought was super cool. And I was like, no, I'm keeping this one. I didn't even realize I had it. And I'm going to keep that and check that one out. So
yeah,
that's a Playway title too, or whatever.
Yeah. And I believe Free Minds as well. So it's same group, just different dev.
Yeah. Very cool. I've been playing a lot of Balatro still, just a ton of Balatro, just trying to get them wins. I've only gotten 2. And I've gotten so close, and like I get, it's very frustrating. But you just jump right back in. But another game I've been playing a lot, the Thaumaturge. I talked about it a little bit last week, but I hadn't gotten into it too much. And within the past week, I've really been enjoying it. It's like I won't go into too much detail because we did talk about it, but it's like an isometric role-playing game where you play as like, he's basically a detective, but you have these ghosts that you can that you can collect and have them do different things and battle for you and stuff. It's kind of like a Monster Tamer, which little talk. We'll be talking about that a little bit later, but in a very creepy, weird way, where it's like this dark, old time world in Poland or whatever. But like the gameplay, the hook has really kind of got me invested. Like it's one of those situations where oh, I'm just gonna do this little quest where you have to figure out, you find little things that lead you to solve this mystery, and then once you do it, you can either get maybe another one of these ghosts are called salutors, or you'll get an upgrade to something. So it's like you find these little missions, and they're part of this big story. And you just go through, and it's all. And what's really cool is that it's the choices absolutely matter. Like you always hear that they're like, okay, choices matter in this game, but this one it completely changes your playstyle depending on what choices you make, like how you what branches are available, are open for you to choose from, basically. So if you want to go in one direction where it's more mental or whatever, and you try to talk people into things, but it completely closes off the option to do the other one. So it's making me, I feel like it's going to be one of those games where I will play it again afterwards, because I am enjoying it, and I do want to see because every time I pick something, I'm like, what if I would have picked the other thing? What would it have done? So I want to see how different it goes. But I think I went on How Long to Beat to see how I was. I think it was 20 some hours, maybe. I think maybe I'm about halfway through. But dude, I'm having a blast. It's a great game for fans. I would say it reminds me a little bit of The Witcher in terms of the setting and the subject. It's like magic exists in this kind of regular world. And it's also Polish, which helps, remind me of The Witcher a little bit. But yeah, but it's just kind of, then there's just mundane things where people had an argument and you got to solve that. But also there's this creepy ghost that you control. So yeah, it's fun. I definitely, I'm enjoying it.
Nice. That's always appreciated when a game actually makes your choices matter rather than everything leading back to the same cutscene and outcome.
Right. Yeah. How many times do you hear it choices matter in this one? And it's like, do they? Do they really? Yeah. This one definitely more so, because yeah, I mean it closes off entirely. If you don't do things right, it'll close it off entirely or open up new paths. So definitely very cool. I'm enjoying it. All right, it's time to talk about our new releases from last week. All right, first up, we had the Outlast Trials come out on March 5th on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, S, and X. Now, it's been in early access on PC up until now, and then this is the official release on PC and the first time it's been on consoles. This is the third in the Outlast series. Now, this is a prequel, technically, but it's a very different game. So this is it's a co-op game. I mean, you could play it single player, but you can play it with up to 4 people, where it's set during the Cold War. You get abducted and put into this room, and then they do these insane tests on you, and it's super scary, and you have to just make it through. There's a lot of stealth where you want to avoid the creepy people and monsters in there, but if you do the tests, you get rewarded. You get a stun gun or whatever, and then you go through and you just keep getting the shit scared out of you.
Yeah, so, yeah. Looks very, very character heavy. The trailer does a lot for this. I didn't know anything about this until I saw it on the list here of our new releases and checked out the trailer. For some reason, it reminds me of BioFreaks, if you ever played that back in the day for N64, no. I think. Yeah, not in gameplay, because that was a fighter game, but just in these concoctions of characters. The characters, yeah. That's what has me drawn to this one. The creepy, weird characters that they have and that are in it that scare you. This is one that another one where I was like, if my friends want to play this, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna just buy it because it looks unlike anything I've played. I like to be scared, and it helps that I could be with other people. Not with them, but at least have their voices with me and be scared. It looks like it'd be more fun. Some downsides I do see is that
it lacks replayability. Is that, once you go through and where the scares are going to happen and what's going to happen, it's not as enjoyable. But yeah, I feel like we always stop playing games after a certain period anyways, so I don't know if that'll affect us. So, all right, next up, WWE 2K24 also came out March 5th on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One S, and X. This is the next installment in the WWE wrestling game. This one, it adds the WrestleMania's greatest moments in a thing called Showcase of the Immortals. So it looks pretty cool. All the big matches that happened throughout the WrestleMania. They're on WrestleMania 40 this year, so it's like a momentous occasion here. Same, huge roster. It's got some new match types, like you could have a casket match or an ambulance match this time around. And then it's still got all the same thing, the My Rise, which is like the story mode where you rise up through the ranks. And then there's the GM mode where you can just run the whole wrestling organization. So it's got everything. It's got an 82 on Metacritic right now. So it looks to be, very much more of the same. So, which is, it's a good thing in some ways.
Yeah. I don't usually care for these like yearly wrestling titles, but this one kind of turned me on with that 40 years of WrestleMania part, unlocking all the old legends. I mean, for somebody who's not into wrestling, when we were kids, it was like the Chicago Bulls. It was everywhere, and everybody was a little into it. So, like, seeing peak Hollywood Hulk Hogan, I went in on this.
Yeah. You go back to some of the classics, you get some of those major moments. That was like my childhood for a while, absolutely. So that's exactly how I feel. Like I was like, I'll watch for a sale. Because I haven't gotten one of these in a while, besides like the AEW wrestling one. But that Showcase of the Immortals thing sounds real cool. And last up, Unicorn Overlord came out March 8th on PS4, PS5, Xbox S, X, and the Nintendo Switch. This is a new tactical fantasy role-playing game from Atlas and Sega. It's basically you like control these armies and these groups of characters you got to customize for like the best synergy, because you get those tactical situations. There's over 60 unique characters, and then there's different stories throughout. There's 5 individual stories. Each one's like 10 hours, and they kind of all link together in one giant story. With our powers combined, we form Unicorn Overlord. But the game looks beautiful. If that's your cup of tea, it looks to be great. It's reviewing well, 87 on Metacritic. So I know 2 of my friends were like one of those like we stay home from work. That's how excited they were about this game. So they're out there.
Yeah, looks really good. I do have to say though, this is another one I didn't know anything about until I saw it on our list, and when I went and saw what it was with a name like Unicorn Overload, I'm a little let down. I was thinking right? Over the top vomit of color. I don't know.
Yeah, and at least a few unicorns.
Right.
Nary a single unicorn in this whole shot. All right. That's it for our new releases from last week. Let's keep moving along with our news of the week. All right, first off, let's do a quick rundown of the latest Humble Choice came out for March. Let's just go through real fast. Neo 2, the Complete Edition, Warhammer Age of Sigmar, Realms of Ruin, After Image, Black Skyland, Citizen Sleeper, Destroyer, the U-Boat Hunter, Saints Row, and Solstice. This is the new Saints Row remake. So this actually caused me to break my game buying moratorium, and I did re-up my Humble Choice monthly subscription. And not for any particular game really on here. It's a great assortment of games that have really not been on sale like ever. Like Neo 2 has not dropped below like $30. I've never played Citizen Sleeper. After Image looks to be like a really great Metroidvania. And then there's a bunch that I'm definitely going to trade away. Black Skylands is not for me. The Destroyer, U-Boat Hunter, and then Warhammer and Saints Row. I have no desire to check out. So, but I'm excited about the other ones.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the same camp, but the opposite games there. Like, I'm
Hmm.
interested in like Citizen Sleeper, After Image, Solstice, Black Skylands, maybe even Destroyer. But for me, realistically, I'm going to be able to touch like two of these. So I'm thinking
Yeah.
Saints Row would be kind of cool. I know it was supposed to be a shit show when it came out, but assuming some fixes have been made for $12 or whatever this is a month, I would pay that for this game alone. And having all these others as bonus, that's great
Yeah.
too.
Well, if you, yeah, so on the, like, it looks like this website I'm on, it shows like the full amount that you would pay $289 if you got them
Wow.
all at regular retail price. So definitely a good value. And if you want Saints, if you don't buy this and you want Saints Row, I'll send it to you. So you could have it.
No, I appreciate it.
My treat. All right, let's talk about the Xbox partner preview. This came out last week. It's about a half hour. They showed 14 games, a bunch of new trailers, some release dates, that sort of thing. They showed us Unknown 9 Awakening, set to come out summer of 2024. It's a third-person action game. First announced at Gamescom. I have no idea what this one was, but it looked decent. Sleight of Hand. This game looks pretty interesting. It's like a stealth-based like deck builder where you use like magic. It says it's inspired by Metal Gear Solid. Not sure. They didn't show any gameplay. It was like a long cinematic thing. But it was
Figured you'd be into
interesting.
this one with the deck building and the card
Yeah,
combat.
I do, but like they lose me with stealth a little bit. But I'm definitely gonna check it out, and I think all these games are coming to Game Pass too. So no reason not to. We got a new trailer for The Alters. I've been very interested in this one since it was initially shown. This is the one where you create different versions of yourself to do things around like this space station or whatever. Looks very interesting. The trailer got me more hyped for it. Looks to be pretty cool. Um, we got a trailer. This is the first time I ever thought it would happen for a Roblox game. Um,
Right.
and it's like a horror Roblox game with like Chucky called Griefville X Chucky Crossover. That's available now. So hop in there and shoot some Chuckies. It was weird. The Sinking City 2 got announced. This is obviously a sequel to the previous Sinking City. It's a Lovecraftian survival horror game. Stalker Legends of the Zone trilogy. This has all the previous Stalker games in one package. $40. You get Shadow of Chernobyl, Clear Sky, and Call of Pripyat. Monster Jam Showdown 2024. I know you're excited about this one. Get those monster trucks going.
Oh yeah.
It's going to have 66 official Monster Jam trucks and 10 game modes. Bam. This is like
Yeah.
the king of monster truck games right here.
These are always cool. I mean, I like them for the same reason as the ATV and the MX games.
Yes.
It's just a really great like physics simulator and a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's just like, fast food. Like, there's nothing, you're not going to learn anything here, but yeah, you could sit there and just play with these things forever. Persona 3 Reload expansion pass was announced, and that'll be coming to Game Pass. And then the first Berserker Kazan. It's a single player action game. This one looks interesting. It doesn't look like it has anything that sets it apart from any other games, but wait and see more of that. Tales of Kinzera Zao got a new trailer. It's going to be coming out April 23rd, so that's pretty soon. Frostpunk 2 coming out July 25th. New trailer confirming that it'll be coming to Game Pass and PC Game Pass. Final Fantasy 14 is coming to Xbox on March 21st. And then we got a new trailer for Kunitsu Gami Path of the Goddess. I remember when this this game was first announced, and had this weird trailer with all these weird characters and stuff. And we got a trailer actually showing some gameplay of it. Ton of weird characters, ton of weird gameplay. This one immediately went on my my watch list. So I'm very excited for that one. And then last up, we got a brand new Monster Tamer game called Creatures of Ava. This game looks pretty cool. Some really cool creatures and good mechanics for that. What any games on this through this showcase that stuck out to you?
Yeah, definitely the monster truck game. The Alters.
Mm-hmm.
That's been cool. Like you said, since we very first found out about one of the first trailers, where you're like different versions of yourself, but maybe some alterations happen between those versions, like some genetic diversity or something that makes you like smarter as one version.
Yeah.
Maybe one version's like meaner or something like that. It just seems cool. And yeah, the sleight of hand. I'm not usually into the card based combat, but it could be good. And when you hear that it's inspired directly by Metal Gear Solid, as far as stealth games go, I really enjoyed Metal Gear Solid 5, so I'd like to see where
Hmm.
that goes.
Sure. Yeah, and then of course that Creatures of Ava. That looks to be a fantastic game. And that leads us to this week's top five. Top five. It's a top five. Top five. So this week we're talking about our top five favorite monster taming games. Now, when we first talked about this, it was like, I don't know, are there enough that we want to put on, our top five list? So what we did, we each came up with a separate list and we blind ranked them. So this is going to be a surprise for you. You don't know the outcome of this. It was fun. So here we go. Number five was a tie between Monster Rancher and the Persona series. Now you don't automatically think Persona is like a Monster Tamer game, but it's very much just like a more adult Pokemon, except with like weirder things. So you go out there and capture them. So I've never played Monster Rancher though. That's like an OG one, isn't it?
Yeah, it goes back to like the PlayStation 1, and that changed the game for me because I love it when they do weird stuff with games. And it was the first one I remember. They had this part where like
Oh,
you can get monsters off the stone tablets. The stone tablets are other CDs. So you're able to
I
open the
remember
PlayStation.
that.
Yeah, swap in the disc, get it's not always like completely brand new monsters. There's not that many
Yeah,
monsters in the game, but you could get new ones and then freeze them, combine them. You never know what you were going to get.
I remember doing that. I remember, that they used to always. And this is gonna age me pretty much. When they used to send those CDs with like AOL or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember putting those in the PlayStation, trying to get like new monsters off of those and stuff. Yeah, I forgot about that game. Number four, Slime Rancher. This one, my son got me entirely into Slime Rancher. He loves it. It's like I think he's got like 100 hours into it. Absolutely, enjoys playing that. His thing is more about like collecting everything. You're not so much doing the game properly. We have to like ranch them and get the resources and that sort of thing. He just wants to find everything. So a lot of fun stuff in that one. Number three, I don't know if you've ever heard about this one, but this was my number one. Nino Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. You ever hear of this game?
No.
So I was obsessed with this game. It's very much like a Pokemon style game where it's a top down like RPG where you got to go out and you hunt them. And then you could capture them, add them to your party, but it's like different. It's like a Miyazaki film. It's got the same art style as that, and like all the characters in it are very much like weird like that. If you're ever looking for a fun game, I think you would really dig this one because it's so much, very much just a Pokemon, and also if you like Miyazaki films, like it's the best of both worlds. The sequel to this kind of removes the monster hunting aspect of it, so it's not as good in my mind. But this one, dude, I bought the book. Like it's this big, thick book, and you could rename all of the monsters that you catch. So I had all these different great names for them and stuff. I put a lot of time into that. And I always intended to like 100% it, collect all the things. And I fizzled out, but it's always something I think about. Number two, Pale World. Now I don't know if this is recency bias or what, but it's a great game. It's a great game.
Yeah.
They do a great job with the monsters, with the different types of monsters, the way that you catch them, what you could do with them, how they like work in your camps and stuff like that. Yeah, I was a little surprised it was number two on our list, but still, like, it's a great game.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say that it's recency bias. I think this is moving the genre forward.
Yeah, and speaking of that, the opposite of that, but we have to give credit where credit is due to our number one Pokemon. We always talk about they haven't done anything new in 20 years, but we wouldn't be having this conversation if it wasn't for that series. They did it all. They started it. All these monsters are, just kind of slightly different versions of that. Now we'll definitely will hear about, people saying that, well, what about Dragon Quest? Pokemon stole it from Dragon Quest, but
I don't
Pokemon's
know.
a multi-billion-dollar franchise, not Dragon
Yeah,
Quest.
I played a lot of Pokemon. I've never played a Dragon Quest game, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. So you'll always have those people that say, well, Pokemon stole this, blah blah blah, but they did it right. They brought it to the forefront, made sure everybody's doing it. Now they definitely got a little bit greedy, creating different versions of the same game over and over and over and over again. But there's still a lot of great content out there as far as the games, and even outside of the games, like the TV shows, the movies, and stuff. It became a giant in the world. So
Right. And
yeah,
and understand this is just mine and your conglomerated top five.
exactly.
People can leave their top fives if they disagree in the comments.
Yeah, yeah. But ours is right. So that's all. That's all you need to know. This is the definitive list. Sure, it's our opinion, but our opinion is rock solid. It's all that matters.
We
And
will be
you
carving
heard
this
it
in
here
stone
first.
later.
Exactly. All right, so that was it for our top five. That was it for the Xbox partner preview. Some good stuff in both things, in our top five list and in the partner preview. All right, but moving on, Mario Day. It is currently Mario Day as of us recording this. We got some new announcements. The big one being they announced a brand new movie is in development, set to come out April 2026. So Nintendo and Illumination back at it. What do you hope for in the next installment? Anything
I
that
have
was
some
missing in the
ideas.
first one? Ooh, let's hear it.
Yoshi. One big thing missing,
Oh,
Yoshi. You barely got to see like
absolutely.
a wild herd of Yoshi going by for a split
Mm-hmm.
second, and then at the end, sorry for the post credit spoiler, but you see a
Mm,
Yoshi egg that's made it to like Brooklyn.
it's a good point. Yeah, yeah. We need a little Yoshi up in there. Um, yeah, I don't know what this story could be. The story was basically the first one was the main idea of the game series or whatever. You
Yeah.
have to switch it up a
Well,
little bit for this one.
I'm trying to think of like the order of the games. I think on Super Nintendo you had like Super Mario World, and then I think it was Super Mario World 2, like Yoshi's Story or something like that. And
Mm,
maybe I'm mixing up the N64, but there's like dedicated almost Yoshi games on both of those. And it
mm-hmm.
would just make sense that next comes Yoshi. Maybe they go to Yoshi's Island. Maybe they got to
Yeah,
fix a problem there.
yeah. Or like Luigi's, he's going ghost hunting, maybe.
Oh yeah,
Throw a little of that in there. Speaking of which, we also got a release date for Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. That'll be coming out to the Switch on June 27th. And then Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door remake. The release date was announced May 23rd, 2024. So those are both great games. Excited to see those remade and looking fancy on that OLED Nintendo Switch. All right, up next, a new segment that we call the Crazy Out of Touch Delusional CEO Corner, where we talk about crazy out of touch delusional CEOs. First up, the WB Discovery CEO and president of streaming and games, JB Perrette, had a talk recently, and in it he talked about, well, his point was that he wants to lean more into live service and mobile games and less the more of the AAA, the volatile AAA gaming space. So he said, that's a great business when you have a hit like Hogwarts Legacy. It makes the year look amazing. Unfortunately, we also have disappointments. We just released Suicide Squad this quarter, which was not as strong. It just makes it very volatile. So he said that Warner Brothers, they're looking at four major franchises: Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, and DC, and hoping to expand in the mobile and multi-platform free-to-play space. So yeah, so that's a different take. I mean, I guess like I could see his point about after something like Suicide Squad where that was a total failure, total bomb, about trying to just go, the easy way to make some extra bucks, but not what us gamers want to hear. I'm not
Yeah,
excited for the next Harry Potter mobile game
yeah,
as much as I would be a AAA title.
yeah. I mean, if everything's going to be a live service game, then we have no time for any live service games.
Yeah, yeah. So he does. He also says that the company will emphasize its live service offerings in addition to all these mobile games. And he says, rather than just launching a one and done console game, how do we develop a game around, for example, Hogwarts Legacy or Harry Potter that is a live service where people can live and work and build and play in that world on an ongoing basis? So, yeah, so mobile games and long live service games. Now they do have I think the next one is a like a Quidditch game coming out that we've
It's like
talked about
Quidditch
before. I don't
Champions.
know. Yeah, I don't know when that's set to release and how much of a live service aspect that game will have. But
I got into a closed beta of that game a while back, so I'm not sure exactly what I'm allowed to say about it. But I think the groundwork is there that they could keep pumping out skins and packs and things
mm,
like that for it.
yeah, like a Rocket League type situation.
Yeah,
Was it more okay?
yeah. I mean, coming down to like the garments you're wearing, effects that your character has while you're zooming around the screen and putting on the special and
Mm,
stuff like that.
cool, cool. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see how this. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see how it pans out for him. And then EA CEO Andrew Wilson at a conference recently talked about their dependence on AI moving forward. He wanted to show how much AI was able to cut down on the development time in a game. He used an example of building a stadium for a sports game previously took 6 months. Over the past year, with the help of the new tech, that has dropped to just 6 weeks, and it could be down to just 6 days in the coming years. Um, like recently, they also used it to in the FIFA games. They had characters that had 12 different styles of their running, and now they added AI into this, and now there's different 1,200 different run cycles. So he believes that generative AI will increase EA's efficiency by 30% over the next 5 years, while also growing its player base of 700 million people by at least 50%. He thinks it will convince players to spend 10 to 20% more money on its games too, due to real, personalized content bespoke to me and bespoke to my friends. What? I don't even know what he's talking about. It's just garbage.
No, and
These
of course it comes
CEOs
down to.
with
Yeah, I
their
was just gonna
AI
say, at least it
plans.
comes down. It always comes down to the last nickel and dime they got to get out of you.
That's exactly it. And this whole thing is so tone deaf, especially coming off last week where they laid off 670 workers, and now they're talking about how we can use AI to, to help us create our games. I don't know. With something like mundane development tasks to maybe speed up the process, sure, that's great. I like hearing about that as far as comes to AI. But when you're either voice acting or writing in a series or something like that, that's when it starts to get a little sketchy in terms of quality of content as well as taking jobs from other people. So yeah, I don't know what their plan is, but I think the
Right.
idea of using AI to help create these worlds, I'm okay with, as long as you're still giving jobs to the developers are still needed to run this whole thing.
Right. I mean, there's no delaying the inevitable. AI will be used. It's just going to be the future, and there's not much we can do about that. But yeah, if you're going to use AI in a game, especially in its current form right now, we better not be able to tell that you used AI. We don't want to see
Right.
like graphics and textures that don't make sense. It needs to be
Yeah.
like an assistive tool for your people who are in charge of making a great game, and it needs to be a great game. And at the same time, I can't believe he's talking about cutting every corner in cost with AI and then charging us more for the game. If you're cutting all
Yeah.
these corners in cost, you should be able to cut the cost of the game.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. It just makes sense, right? But not with these CEOs. They're looking make that money. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this plays out for them as well. But yeah, all right, that's it for our crazy CEO corner. You got anything else you want to add about that?
Nothing I can say on this podcast.
All right, moving on. Some sad news. Rooster Teeth is shutting down after over 20 years in the video game industry, making tons of great content and doing fun stuff. So WB, their parent company, they attempted to sell the division recently, but they were unsuccessful. So unfortunately, they have to close the whole thing down. General Manager Jordan Levin said, it's with a heavy heart I announced that Rooster Teeth is shutting down due to challenges facing digital media resulting from fundamental shifts in consumer behavior and monetization across platforms, advertising, and patronage. Our legacy is not just a collection of content, but a history of pixels burned into our screens, minds, and hearts. So, there's more to it. That was pretty much the gist. But they will be selling or attempting to sell the rights to their popular things like the RWBY and the Red and Blue series. And as for their podcasts, those are going to be continuing for the time being with the hopes of selling the podcast to like another podcast company as well. So they're not entirely going away, I guess, for fans of the whole Rooster Teeth gang, but it could be a lot of changes coming up.
They said the final season of Red vs. Blue, season 19, is still upcoming, I think, later this year or next year. So it should still be releasing. I was amazed that this was still going 20-something years later.
Crazy, right? Yeah, me too. Yeah, so, interesting stuff, This maybe creates an opportunity for us, though, as sad as it is,
Yeah.
There's going to be, this is our time to shine.
We'll our own Halo Machinima series.
We could do this. Blue versus red. That's not taken, right? All right, next up, we got a full-length trailer for the new Fallout series. It's coming out April 12th. This trailer, dude. At first, when we initially talked about it, I was like, okay, Fallout game, it looks good. We saw the little teasers. Everything looks great on it. But after this trailer, I'm like, this could be like one of the best shows to come out this year. It looks amazing. I'm very excited for it.
And it's right around the corner. Love that.
Yeah, real soon. We're going to be doing it for, the First Eps. It's a great podcast. They talk about the first episode of the series. If you're not familiar, go check it out. It's a great show. But yeah, we're going to be doing that real soon for that. And my buddy who I record that with is a huge Fallout fan. So, and I'm a huge Fallout Boy fan. So it just works out, But Walton Goggins, Ella Purnell looked great in this. They had the big mech guys. Everything about it looked just they pulled it right from the game and made it look awesome. Are you a big Fallout fan? Did you play the games?
Starting with 3, yeah. A little bit of 3, a little bit of New Vegas, and then really, really got into 4. I got a buddy who's played through it, every ending, every possible way that you can do it, and he tells me all about it. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, I remember you were saying you wanted to get into Fallout 76 at one point too. Did you ever get into that?
I actually did play a little Fallout 76, but that's how memorable that was for me. My buddies were into it more than me. I like the idea of multiplayer Fallout, but it was a little jank.
Yeah, I played it right when it came out, and it was full of bugs. And the only thing that I remember from my whole experience with it is that my character would constantly load into the game completely naked. So that's the only thing I remember about Fallout 76. All right, and then last up, we got a new video showcasing South Park Snow Day. Ever since we saw the trailer, we wanted to know what this game is, what's it about, and there's this great trailer, it's like an 8-minute video with Matt Stone from the South Park crew talking about why they created it, what it is. Basically, they wanted to create an episode of South Park, and this Snow Day episode exists, and they're like, okay, we have this lore set up, let's just flesh that out. So they made this game. It's their first 3D game from Matt and Trey, and basically it's just like this narrative story where you go through. There's like looks like waves of like these elves that you have to kill, and you have to go to the next station, and it's like this whole story. It's a co-op game. I think it's gonna be $30. So yeah, it looks great. It made me feel a little bit more excited about the game than I initially was. I know it's been high on your list. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting to see. And I thought that one of the really cool parts in there is he's talking about the pricing and that $30 price point. They didn't want to like gouge the consumer, even though they could with a big name like South Park. But these guys have always been very protective of their IP, especially after maybe like that N64 era of they had a few games. But recently, these have been big productions, and they said they wanted that $30 price tag to sort of try out that 3D style of development and see what they could do. So I appreciate that. It could be a $70 game, especially I think it's an Ubisoft title. Could be an $80 game for that matter, but it's going to start at 30.
Yeah. And he did say they have ideas to add extra content in as far as like DLC and stuff down the line. I don't know if paid DLC, free DLC, whatever. But it had the comedy that you expect from an episode of South Park. There were times like even just watching like the little gameplay snippets they had that I was like, I actually laughed. Like, and it definitely seemed very vulgar, you know, in line with the thing. I was like, oh, this is a fun game. And I was like, oh, I couldn't play this around my son. There's a lot of bad language. But yeah, it looks interesting. When does this one come out? All right, this comes out March 26th. So, you know, right around the corner. We get in there and throw some snow at each other. So I'm excited to check it out. Hopefully it gets, you know, hopefully it's well made, is all I'll say, you know, because it looks like it has the potential. It has the character. Let's just hope that the gameplay, you know, it follows through. All right, and that is it for this week's episode of Gaming News Weekly. Is there anything that I forgot or anything you want to talk about?
Just a quick in memoriam. I'm sure you've seen all the headlines too. For Akira Toriyama, creator of Dragon Ball Z, but had a hand in so much other stuff, including some classic video games, I believe, like Chrono Trigger, possibly Double Dragon, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, some of those Super Nintendo classics.
Yeah, major loss for sure. I was shocked, like when I looked up his, you know, his background and everything he's had a hand in. I was shocked at how much, you know, of a role he had in helping create some of the greatest stuff. So, very true. All right. Well, that is, now on that note, it's the perfect way to end this show. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Gaming News Weekly. Be sure to check us out. Anywhere podcasts are found, you can listen to the audio version of this show. If you want to watch the video version, you get all the trailers. You get to see how cool we look. That's a big plus. You can find that on YouTube at Pop Culture Playground. It's available every Monday. You can also go to a website called Fruit Lab and find us there. You can earn cryptocurrency for posting content, watching content, and you'll find this show there. What else? Full Clip, he's on YouTube, GameFAQs, GameFAX, where you'll find all his quality gameplay videos. It's good stuff. You could watch that for hours.
Find the clipped versions on TikTok. You can get in on the conversation there. Give us your top 5. I want to see them. All the games we haven't played that didn't make it into our top 5.
Oh my God, there's so many of them. Yeah, and get in there now before TikTok gets shut down.
Yes,
just you know, it could be very soon. Could be very soon. But all right, thank you again. We will see you next week. More Gaming News Weekly.